Disc drum combination is the most popular braking system in use today. That's disc brakes on the front wheels and drum brakes on the rear wheels. And it's a real good idea to have your brakes inspected about every 15,000 miles, so if there is a problem, you can repair it before it gets too expensive. I've already inspected the brakes on this car, and they're bad. So why don't you watch me while I put some new ones on? Jack up the car and support it with safety-approved jack stands, and remove the road wheel. When I get this wheel off, we're going to see the brake drum. I'll take the drum off and expose the shoes. You'll probably find a certain amount of dirt built up in this brake drum. It's going to be necessary to get rid of it someplace safe, in a wastebasket or something. And you want to inspect the brake drum itself for wear. Looking at the brake surface here, you don't want to find any gouges, no grooves, indicating that the shoes have gone metal to metal, like this one. This entire drum needed to be replaced. The next thing you'll want to do is use a brake parts solvent to wash all the brake dust off from around the brake shoes and the wheel cylinder and the backing plate. Catch the overflow in a suitable pan for later disposal. Once you've got everything clean, it's time to remove the brake hold-down springs. By twisting the brake nail, you can remove the springs. Some are a flat clip type like this, others are still a spiral spring with a cap on it. Removal is essentially the same. Now on this particular set, we'll start with the bottom spring. Get the bottom spring and the shoes out where you can work with them. Different cars have different setups. Look at yours, look at a manual if necessary before you start the job. At this point, I'll work the shoes off from around the hub. And you'll notice that they're held on by the emergency brake cable on the emergency brake lever. Remove the cable from the lever. Now, I need to take the lever off of this old shoe so I can put it on the new shoe. This is called a horseshoe clip. Remove the horseshoe clip and the spring washer and the rivet that hold the assembly together. Get your new shoe and assemble the handbrake lever back on the new shoe. When you're doing this, make certain that the shoe that you're working with compares to the shoe that came off of the car. Some brake shoes have longer pad material on them and need to go back in the same place that the shoe that had the longer pad material came off of. After you've put the horseshoe clip back on the pin, it's necessary to bend it tight so it doesn't come off. Once again, some shoes have longer pad material and need to go into the same place that the shoe with the longer pad material came off. Match up your shoes. I'm going to assemble the brake adjuster and the shoes here on the floor so you'll see what they look like, because once I get it up onto the wheel, you may not be able to see it. This is called the adjuster. You'll want to shorten the adjuster to its shortest length by turning the wheel and threading it into itself. This puts the shoes as close together as they can possibly be. New shoes have thicker material, and the drum won't fit unless this adjuster is at its smallest length. This is the tensioner that puts the tension on the adjuster, and the spring that puts the tension on the tensioner. Once again, we're assembling this on the floor so you'll know what it looks like when you put it back up on the car. Now let's do it. This is the handbrake cable. When you pull up on the handbrake, this cable pulls the lever and shoves the shoes out against the drum. We have to put the lever back on. I'm pushing that spring back with a pair of side cutters. This will allow me to put the lever back on and then release the tension of the spring. I'll put the shoe back up in its proper position and hold it down with the brake hold-down spring while I assemble the adjuster and the other shoe. Grasp the nail with a pair of pliers, and a simple twisting method will lock it into place. Repeat it with the other shoe. Brake hold-down spring, brake nail, and twist it. Grease the backing plate at the points that the shoe touches it. This will eliminate any squeal from the shoes vibrating against the backing plate. The adjuster being put into place makes certain that the notches fit up with the handbrake lever and with the corresponding notch in the other shoe. Don't forget, you have the other side of the car that you can look at if you don't think you're getting it quite right. Leave one side assembled while you do the other side. This is the top spring that holds the tension and keeps the shoes together. They're pretty strong springs. It might take a little bit of pulling to get them into place. This is the bottom spring that keeps the tension on the shoes at the bottom. Fit that spring and then put the shoes back behind the retainers. Next, adjust the shoes so you can put the brake drum back over the new shoes. Now it's time to adjust it. Roll it back and forth. What you want to feel is the shoes touching the inside of the drum. Not to where they stop, but you just want to feel a little brake drag as you're checking the adjustment. I've pulled the tensioner back away from the star wheel, and now I'm extending the adjuster, making it a little longer. Centering the shoes, putting the drum back on. And twist the drum to see if you can feel the shoes. It's got to go a little further. Some cases you have a hole in the back of the backing plate where you reach in with a screwdriver or a brake spoon and snug them up. There, that feels just about the right tension. Now replace the road wheel. Put the lug nuts on. I'm going to use a pneumatic wrench to snug these up. I'm not going to tighten them. This is an alloy wheel, and I'm going to torque them. If you're using a cross wrench or a lug wrench type, snug them up, put the car on the ground, and then tighten them. Using the hand tools, tighten them as tight as you can get them. But please don't forget that you or somebody else is going to take them off again. Once again, I'm only snugging them up with the air wrench. This is an alloy wheel, and I don't want to distort it, so I'm going to torque them. This is a click-type torque wrench. I'm going to set it to 85 foot-pounds per square inch and tighten the lug nuts in a cross pattern. This ensures proper pressure on each of the wheel studs and prevents warping of the alloy wheel.